he had to force Brad's hand to start Rob, and I'll never really understand why. Danny had to literally trade Theis in order to get Rob in the starting lineup.
Because he missed that 3-pointer, though. That's why, Jimmy. He missed
that
the
was
game
what did it.
Yeah.
And I mean, look what you saw tonight from Rob. And again, it's one game, but the style of play was very similar to what we've seen from him coming off the bench in lesser amount of minutes. We already know his numbers over 36 minutes are awesome. So I don't think it really was a surprise to a lot of people to see that production continue with better players around him for more times, for a longer period of time during the game.
John just said it. Let's see it some more.
Right,
Oklahoma's going to be a tricky matchup. I think this was a really good matchup for him. They have a good.
This isn't a one-game thing.
They have a good game plan when it comes to playing this team. They build that wall. Grant's able to get into more comfortable, matchups next to him. So I think it all worked well for the front court here, where when they're able to pack the paint against this team and protect the rim the way they did, it all worked out. Now there's going to be some other teams that exploit them a little bit more. There'll be a lot more switching-oriented games. And on a night like tonight, let's be real. I don't think they would have been able to play Grant for 31 minutes against other kind of teams and have that work. And so there would have been more pressure on Ojales and those other type of guys. My point is, this wasn't an obvious move, and there weren't obvious things for Brad to do throughout the course of the year. There just weren't a lot of options. Like, Rob's been playing for a month now, and they've still been losing games. He's been playing more and more in recent weeks. They lose to the Grizzlies. They lose to the Bucks on Wednesday. This was a personnel problem all throughout. Now, maybe early in the year, you could look at Rob's minutes being a little low and say, all right, he's got to be more involved here. But I'll throw this back at you guys. Was he wrong in this Theis sense to have everybody be involved? I know you guys just want to shelve Thompson in particular right to the side, but there's these certain ideologies that Brad carries, one of which is keep everybody involved, get everybody a role on this team, and have nobody lost in the fold. And that's just something he rolls with, and that's why you had three centers playing all year.
You had no choice when you bring in a veteran like Thompson and you make promises to him, and he's a clutch guy, and you want to do right by that, and you don't want to have, you brought him here, and
it's not like he sucks. He's playing solid.
You brought a guy here who has a pedigree, who you sold, who you want to make nice with his agent and his pals, and you want to keep relations good, and you bring him in here, and you sold him on his role and what it's going to be. You can't just not give it to him when 5 games in, you're like, holy crap, Rob Williams got really good. And Theis got us to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and he might be our third best big. And you could tell probably 5 games into the season that was the case. And what are you going to do? Pull the carpet out from under him? So they stuck with him 15, 20. It became so obvious so early that he should be the specialist who comes in there and bangs a little bit and gives you a few fouls a game and some physicality, but he should be playing the third most minutes among those 3 bigs. And that's I think the only case we were making all year, that it was pretty obvious that in this big rotation, Thompson deserved the fewest minutes. It just took forever to get there, and now you have no choice with Theis gone. He's going to slot in. But my goodness, if he starts over Rob when he's healthy, I'm taking a week. Okay. I'm not going to be.
Does it matter though? I mean, if he starts and then he plays,
how can you
watch? It does matter.
How can you watch tonight him play with that first unit and say, oh yeah, let's get some Tristan in there. It matters.
I know the first 5 minutes of the game matter somewhat, but I say this about Drummond too.
But it's all the rotations. It's continuing to stay with those guys.
That's true.
You get 2 big chunks in the first and the third, and to close the game. And really, the only opportunity he had to play with them, he'd have a few minutes with Tatum in the second quarter, but really it would just be the last few minutes of the game where you'd get Rob in there. And how many of those times were like, wow, they really played well with Rob in the game together, Right. So that it does matter, point. I think.
Yeah.
I just think we've reached a point where it's like they need more reps than ever together, because in the postseason, it's sky's the limit, if you will, right? for you Celtics fans that are dying to see more of this. This is what we were talking about for weeks or months, or in John's case, months. I'll
to the
be
playoffs,
honest.
yeah.
For me, it was weeks. But John's been saying this since before the new year, I think. So
I've been banging this drum for a while, guys. Even in the bubble, where it's like, why are we
No, you saw it.
We do see that he's doing a lot of things out here, right?
Yeah.
Again, forget all of that. The best part about Rob is that he doesn't look at all anything you've ever had concern about how he does or his role in this and that, like even from the beginning of the season, those moments are fewer and fewer where he looks lost or he has that lapse. Even though we thought it was a little ridiculous that people were like hanging those things on him as like, oh, he can't play because of that. But he looks so comfortable out there. He's always in control. He makes smart plays all the time. You know, he really, really is playing a clean game too.
I love what Jimmy said too, because I do want to hammer in on that, this Brad notion that they really had to trade 3 guys to open up some of this stuff. Rob in particular, I don't think the Neesmith and Pritchard stuff matters all that much on the low end of that. But the question becomes, if they're going to go this Andre Drummond route, do you end up in that same position again where you're splitting center minutes between 3 different guys and it really can't break that mold because of the way Brad views the situation? I think that's a real concern. I do advocate Drummond coming in, but I can see a situation there where Drummond's getting a little bit, Rob's getting a little bit, Thompson's getting a little bit, and then you're in a similar spot as you were before. It's such a tough line to walk, but Jimmy's right. Can you get Brad to change?
I think it's a great chance. Your boy Thompson is playing. I don't know, tic-tac-toe with Taco at the end of the bench, man. I don't know. Like if it comes down to it, I don't think.
You think he's gonna bench Thompson?
I mean, if Drummond came in, I think what Bobby said.
Like Drummond was beasting it this season, man. People like that. People
going to be in a position to
hate on Drummond.
I have to play 11 guys. You know?
No, but that's not what I'm saying, Jimmy. I'm saying you're going to end up in the same spot you were before.
Yes, I agree. That's what's going to happen.
You probably will to an extent. Yeah, I think you probably will. But I think
you're going to be right back where you were.
But I think
is it worth it?
Thompson's minutes go down less. Grant's probably on the outside looking in too. And Rob's at the point now where he's got to get his 20 to 25. I still think he's got to get 20.
But it's going to be on the low end again. He's going to be back to 19-20, and we're going to be losing our minds again because you're going to watch this, Drummond in there doing Drummond things, and the offense is going to look clunky again, and he might get some stats, and we're going to sit here and argue about whether he's good or not. But like, it's going to be that same 3 big rotation. If you bring Drummond in,
it's going to be big Greg Monroe energy is what it's going to be.
If you bring Drummond in, Thompson has to.
Better than that.
Thompson's got to go down to single-digit minutes.
I kind of sit on the fence on this one because Jimmy's right, and Joe Sway's too mentioned this. If Thompson just keeps lulling along here and has just this minimal impact that he's had throughout the year, you're in a tough spot going into the playoffs, just leaning on Rob for everything. There'll be games where he fouls a lot. There'll be games that aren't great matchups for him, even series. If you end up in a series that isn't a great matchup for Rob and you need a guy on Embiid or some of these other situations, bam, you're going to want another guy who can get on the boards, do some of this other stuff.
Aren't there other aren't there bad matchups for all the other guys too? You know, like
no, but I mean you need a body, and to get a body like this, a really good player, it's tough to pass up.
I understand,
I agree,
but like look, not everybody. How many perfect centers are there out there? Like 2, 1? Okay, every night there's going to be a situation where I mean, or perfect anything out there. Some nights there's going to be nights where it's like, here's a tougher matchup for this really good player that we have on our team. Not every night is perfect, but like he's just a better overall player than everybody else who plays that position. So you live with it. Again, it's so strange that you're like so worried about matchups, and some nights at Rob, there are things that happen that Rob might not be able to handle as well as a different type of person. But by the same token, he's going to create so many problems for other people because of what he does that it's going to counterbalance.
Yeah, I'm not arguing against that. Let me reframe this for you guys. They're in a tricky position with Drummond where he's definitely better than Thompson, as Josue mentioned. But to get him in here, you're going to have to make certain promises and like things like he's probably going to have to start. He's probably going to have to play quite a bit. And they're just going to have to walk this tricky line where he might like bump into Rob's minutes here and mess with that a little bit. But you also need him because he's so much better than Thompson. That's what I'm trying to say here. So like, how do you walk that line?
He's so much better than Thompson. This is an issue for the Thompson fans. I don't think this is a huge issue for the Rob fans out there. I still think with Drummond, Rob's going to get his 20+ minutes a game. At this point,
would you promise Drummond the starting role to get him in here?
No, I don't think Drummond's looking. I don't think
So he might
Drummond
not
can expect a start. But where? Okay, where is he starting?
Well,
Lakers.
that's the thing, Jimmy, because, I mean, Charlotte, of the places mentioned on the list, Charlotte and Boston are the two you would think pathways to most minutes. Actually, Charlotte the most.
He'll play a lot with the Lakers too.
Probably more than Boston.
Here's
Charlotte
the question.
the most, but with Boston, the only hook here is revitalize your career, and I'm going to give you 25 minutes a game. The Celtics have to sell him on that. If they bring him in here and he's playing 16 minutes a game, sharing the court with that's going to be bad. So, he's coming in here to play 25 minutes a game.
I think he wants to play 20, let's call it 20. And he wants to go to a team that has a chance, whether that's, the Lakers or the Celtics or whoever. Charlotte, I think.
Charlotte, yeah.
Charlotte's, obviously a team now that you have to take seriously. But I think the minutes are going to be somewhat similar, around those teams. Now, does he have to start? I don't know. If you have to promise that and all of a sudden he's starting over Rob, I don't think Rob's going to take exception to it. Again, I think Tristan Thompson is the odd man out here, and Grant Williams to an extent. I mean, those minutes are going to get eaten up. You're talking 20 minutes now. But I still think Rob gets his. Drummond is so much better than Thompson, as Bobby just said. I mean, you just look at Drummond this season.
So much better.
Everybody loves to trash Drummond, and it's low-hanging fruit, I guess. He's, the traditional big who can't shoot. But this guy is a double-double machine. He rips down boards. He's had like at least three games this year of 20-plus rebounds. 20-plus rebounds. Like, there is still value to that. Like,
he's a center for boomers, okay? Not for the kids.
You know what? He's a force down low. I know he's not gonna open up the court and drain threes and whatever, but he serves a very, specific purpose, and he does his job well. And there's a reason that all really good teams want him right now. So everyone on your high horse, like Drummond this, Drummond that, relax. Like, this guy can still play, and he's better than some of the centers you have. So let's not complain about if he actually does want to play for the Celtics. It's only good thing. You're not going to play him and hurt the team by playing him. Like, he's going to contribute positively. And everyone out there who wants the Celtics to get better this season should be thrilled that he even took the interview with Ainge.
Yeah, it cracks me up, man. The picky Celtics fans, I'll never understand. When your team's under 500, like, listen, if the Celtics are in the mix, like, count your blessings, man. Like,
this is free stuff.
For some of these bio
it used to be, would you trade for Drummond? Now it's just like, would you accept Drummond?
You're walking down the street and you see this, like,
and you're at the top. You're one of the top teams, on that list. So that's a good thing, because some of these buyout candidates, they're coming from teams that have a record that's not that far off from where the Celtics stand right now. So it's like, this is a unique case for in Drummond, because he can obviously put himself out there, a deep playoff run, or at least a team like the Celtics will say, hey, listen, with you, Eastern Conference Finals. Without you, maybe not. So you could sell him on that for sure. And I think he's buying that stock, because he's thinking to himself, yeah, okay, I can go to Charlotte, maybe get similar exposure, or maybe a little bit more than that. But then how far are they going to go in the postseason? So, it's a good thing for the Celtics for sure.
It's a very thin line, because the people that hate him have good reason to, and I was one of those people at the money he was at, because he was just a disaster at $28 million. He wasn't anywhere close to being worth that. Now, as a minimum guy, it's the other end of the spectrum. He's probably a little bit underrated in that sense. Defensively, he was a big part of making the Cavaliers one of the best defenses in the league to start this year.
It's a free, like, all-star caliber player. I mean, you can't argue against it. The fear that everybody has is, what will Brad do? And again,
chemistry, that kind of stuff.
Tristan factor, it's the chemistry factor, and it's the suppression of Rob, who is your third best player. Okay, for whatever, I don't care what you want to say. He's your third best player right now.
Free throws get a little tricky now too.
Actually, your third best player overall. So you have to play. You can't go backwards and go into Rob into 18, 19 minutes and Tristan for 18, 20 and Drummond for 20. I think that'll be a mess. If we know, I think if every Celtics fan knows that if he comes in, Tristan's going to go down to single digit minutes, and that's fine, so be it. It's going to be hard though, because you can't
dump Tristan. Yeah, you can't at this point.
You can't buy him out. He's got another year. So you're just stuck with it. You just got to live with Tristan,
And you realistically need 3 guys. Again, I'm going to be concerned.
He's got to be a good sport about it. He's got to be like, okay, I'll play 8 to 10 minutes a game or 12 minutes or whatever.
And he's got to be, because he did not come in here with the right amount of performance. This COVID thing, if it was what it was a joke, and he deserves to be knocked down the ladder because of that. So he's got to come in here with a little bit of humbleness. Well, still, I mean, if he was out at all and putting himself even in that position, that's something you got to look at and be like, come on. So, again, I think just from play alone, forget that part, but play alone even.
Yeah.
He's got to be a little humble because he hadn't played well. I'll say this too, though. This is the tricky thing about losing Theis. In that situation, you'd have 3 horrendous free throw shooters at center, which is tough.